our vision comes from is to equip millions of people to use innovative digital services. And it not necessarily means just financial services, but a range of digital solutions of products and instruments that they can use in their daily lives, and that will empower them to contribute to achieve the SDGs. And in this process, presently, we are implementing our work in 28 countries across Asia, Pacific, Africa. We are having 20 development partners, partnering with the range of private sector institutions and partnering with UN agencies. And we have an outreach of clients reached is 18 million. And to do all of this, the way we are looking at it is UNCDF adopts under its inclusive digital economy work, a market systems approach. We believe that until and unless the market is able to respond favorably to any kind of interventions or business models that takes into consideration both the interests of the public and the private sector in nature, and that's more of a return both from a commercial sense and a social impact sense. Until as that is there, it won't work in the longer term. It won't be sustainable in the longer term. And that's where we work on a market development approach with a range of private sector actors and public agencies, public sector agencies. And we do that through our 4 work streams that you see in this slide here. So the most important is in terms of customers, who are the end customers, who are the people we are talking about. And that's where looking into in terms of their capacities, the challenges and gaps they have in terms of uptake of services, understanding, skill, education. That whole range of empowering the customers is very important. And we invest a lot into understanding the customer profile. The second is in terms of innovation. So if we have to really look at impacting and positively impacting in terms of achievement of SDGs, we really need to look into innovation areas and how can we promote innovations around it, and how can those innovations be inclusive in nature. So we do have innovations, a lot of innovation in the space, but the question around is how do they really kind of include the last mile people, the poor, the disadvantaged, the vulnerable section of the societies. And that's where innovation plays an important role and are trying out business models on a commercial level. The third is open digital ecosystem. And here what we mean by it is both in terms of hard infrastructure and soft infrastructure. So even if we talk about digital, and if you don't have a network tower or an internet access, you're not able to maximize the leverage of digital solutions. The other side of soft infrastructure would be more on in terms of interoperability, in terms of eKYC. So those kind of open digital ecosystem elements of work that requires both in terms of technical assistance, services, public-private partnerships, and investments is what we look into. And of course, the overall has to be a very conducive, enabling policy and regulation climate. And that requires working in terms of both with the government and also the private sector. And we do that, all of this through the strategic instruments that we use. So customer centricity, human-centered design research, a big leverage and a big importance on data. We do a lot of data mining, data surveys on our own, but we also use data that's available across in the public space by different agencies. And we also do data analytics, customer journeys for the institutions we partner with, so that we know how the customer has been kind of transacting and the journey has been as an association or a customer of a particular bank or a fintech or any company as such. Stakeholder engagement is important because we don't see ourselves working in silos. Plus also an individual agency cannot maximize the impact that's required at the last mile. So public-private stakeholdership with different partners, DFIs, IFIs, UN agencies, all of that gets involved into it. We are a technical agency, so technical advice, training is quite a very important component of our work going forward and has been in the past. And as you see, UNCDF, the name suggests capital. And that's where we are one of the UN agencies that can do debt and guarantees on our balance sheets. The other side is de-risking. So we talk about innovations, we talk about looking at market approach and market systems approach and commercial and social sustainabilities, but these do require taking risks by private sector or public sector. And in terms of these risks being taken, we also try to kind of partner on this risk by a bit of grant that de-risks the kind of investments upfront. So today that we're talking about the Innovation Fund is part of also the de-risking financial instrument that includes grant. And through these kind of approaches, workstream and instruments, we are looking at impacting the different segments and sectors. You talk about women, enterprises, migrants, refugees, youth. You talk about in the agriculture sector, energy, finance, of course, is there, education, health, transport. So these are the sectors that we try to impact further on. So this is about the platform. So what the background is that we started this platform of innovation within the ASEAN region way back in 2015. And the background to it is that we believe that we don't have all the answers of how to respond to a market. And that requires, if we're trying to see that how women can benefit, women enterprises can benefit, how we can work with farmers, how we can work on looking at migrants, any section of the society, we need real practical field level solutions. And the way to do that was to look at how the private sector can respond to them. Because they are on the field, they have a commercial viability that is attached. Can they take the risk to innovate on the business model they have, or they can come out with new business models that they have. And that's the trigger of challenging the private sector towards innovating in terms of business models and looking at a combination of both commercial and a social impact. That's where this platform got set up in 2015. And over the years, we have been doing a lot of these kind of rounds. Right now, we have around 31 partners, private sector partners with us, covering 9 countries. In fact, we have invested around $2.5 million towards it. And the private sector partners and other partners have invested around $6.5 million from their side. And these partners in the journey, it's very heartening to know that there may be a very small contribution, but these have grown a lot, and they have been able to leverage around $74.1 million that they have been able to raise as debt, mostly from other investors. And through this mechanism of Innovation Fund and a platform, we have been able to reach around 3 million clients, customers, all with different models. So it may be looking at payment systems, e-wallet, crowdfunding, e-commerce. So we have done a range of innovations in energy, in women financial inclusion, looking at migration and remittances. And in this journey, just wanted to acknowledge the support that we have received from Australian Aid. FMO is here, Monetary Authority of Singapore, Visa, UNSCAP, Pulse Lab Jakarta. So all of that has been done together with these agencies going forward. Here I would now request Andrew, FMO, the general support from FMO with which we are launching this fund, along with UNSCAP. Andrew, over to you to share a bit about FMO and its work.
Thank you, Rajiv, and it's nice to see you. And thank you, Andreas, as well, for the kind introduction. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everybody. I'm calling in from Rotterdam in the Netherlands, where it's very cold. I'm sure some of you are in very warm places. But speaking of warm places, I just wanted to thank UNCDF for its partnership. It's a partnership that we've been working on deepening over the past few years. And I think that this is an excellent example of how we can work together. And what I wanted to do was just take a couple of minutes to introduce FMO. Some of you maybe, I see some familiar names in the list of participants. I see some familiar institutions in the list of participants, but I just wanted to briefly introduce FMO to you. FMO is the development bank of the Netherlands, and our vision is that we believe in a world in which in 2050, more than 9 billion people live well and within the means of the planet's resources. And we're really focused on investing in 3 key markets or sectors, which are agribusiness, food and water, energy, and financial institutions. We're a bank, and we're very much active in the Asia region. We're invested in many financial institutions and microfinancial institutions in the region as well. And as I mentioned, a number of our partners have joined today for this call. If we can go to the next slide, I just wanted to zoom in on a couple of areas where the overlap today is very relevant. We start with the FMO Capacity Development Program. That's the program that I'm responsible for within FMO. And capacity development is the part of FMO that enables us to support private sectors to develop using grant instruments or technical assistance, where we really focus on the transfer of knowledge into institutions to enable them to flourish as organizations. I've already spoken about the UNCDF and FMO partnership, and that's something that we're very, very proud of. I think that this is really a great example of it. We're going to hear more about it, and I really look forward to the questions and to connecting and engaging with many of you going on into the future as well. I also wanted to kind of shine a highlight on two other things which are relevant and interesting here. So one is FMO's Ventures program, which is a 200 million euro program, which is supported by the Netherlands Ministry of Foreign Affairs, as well as the European Commission. And that's a program that we've really been ramping up over the past couple of years. And we not only deploy investment capital into the market, but we also deploy technical assistance and grants into the market to make sure that on the one hand, we have a thriving ecosystem that enable entrepreneurs to take their ideas from idea into something that is meaningful for inclusive business in the markets that they work in, but also in strengthening our investees that we work with as part of that program. And the final quadrant is maybe a little bit of a bonus. We did a very interesting study with Dahlberg on MSMEs and the impact of COVID to sort of help inform us in our response to the market, of which this collaboration with UNCDF is part of. And if you scan the QR code there, you'll pick up some interesting findings. Relevant, but a lot of the findings are kind of interesting to extrapolate also across many global markets. But again, thank you UNCDF for the opportunity. I'll stop here and pass the baton, I think, to Diana.
Thanks so much, Andrew, and good to see you as well as Rajiv and the whole UNCDF team. As mentioned, I'm Deanna Morris. I'm from the United Nations Economic and Social Commission for Asia and the Pacific. For those of you who don't know us, we're the UN's largest and highest level intergovernmental platform for Asia and the Pacific, ranging from 53 member states all the way from Russia to the Pacific Islands. At ESCAP, we're undertaking a 5-year initiative, and it's called Catalyzing Women's Entrepreneurship. And this is being done with financial support from the Government of Canada, which we're very thankful for. We're pleased to be here today and to be co-implementing this Women Enterprise Recovery Fund initiative with our partners UNCDF and also with thanks to FMO. And our work through the Catalyzing Women's Entrepreneurship takes a market system approach similar to the approach that Rajiv was mentioning earlier. And this is through working through strengthening entrepreneurial ecosystems, through policy and advocacy initiatives, through access to finance initiatives, and ICT and business skills development. The Women Enterprise Recovery Fund is just one of the many financial instruments that we support through our program. Our support ranges from bonds to guarantee schemes. We have a very strong private equity partner that provides both seed and Series A funding. And we have engagement with regulators supporting both regulatory policy and advocacy efforts. So our goal is to develop a series of financial support systems that enable women throughout their entrepreneur journey. So that's from startup to growth stage. And through the funding mechanisms that we have and our partner networks, we have a range of support mechanisms that can be tapped into by the winners of this Women Enterprise Recovery Fund. And we're really looking forward to addressing your questions today and also receiving your proposals. Thank you. Back over to you, Rajiv.
Thanks a lot, Diana, Andrew. And it has been a wonderful partnership and a journey that we're having with your institutions. Just coming to the problem. So of course, I believe, and we all have been looking into the space of women economic participation, economic empowerment, the gender gap that's there. And we have been really understanding this space more and more. So the earlier issue was that we were cross-cutting women as part of our projects, and interventions. But if you really need to understand and invest into a gender gap and really solve that issue, you really need to really focus, have dedicated programs, projects, interventions on women itself. And the constraints are multifaceted, and we don't have solutions to all of them. Finance, we know about, there's been a lot of study done on the financing gap of women enterprises, but information, networks, you talk about in terms of resources, you talk in terms of technology, you talk in terms of skills, education, you talk about the major aspects of the social cultural norms that really constrains women and women enterprises in terms of accessing all of this to benefit in terms of their life cycle, in terms of their livelihoods. And today we are talking about women enterprises. And the pandemic has really kind of made that manifold in terms of the gap that's there. And the question was, how do we address that gap? Because it's more of course, looking at digital solutions, but how can these digital solutions also, apart from addressing these various issues that women enterprises face, can be agile enough, can make women enterprises adjust quickly to the market demands that's there. And that's a challenge we have. UNCDF, in partnership with Concordia, Columbia University, International Chamber of Commerce, Global Alliance PME, and Business Africa, we did a study, and this was around mid-year last year, 2020. And this was on small businesses, a very rapid pulse level study, and that was in the least developed countries. And just to highlight that, the women enterprises compared to the men enterprises, the layoffs in the women enterprises were much, much more compared to men enterprises. The business resilience kind of aspects, if you talk about a business resilience 5 months and more, the men enterprises resulted in 55% or 54% around saying they would be resilient, but the women, it was around in 40s and early 40s or 40 to 43%. So there's a huge gap that's getting exacerbated by the COVID-19 aspects. And this is not just related to women enterprise as a category. You have to really look into, and what we have observed, it's based on business sizes, it's based on the sectors, and like catering, tourism, textile, consumer essentials, personal care, health. So there are sectors where women are more involved compared to men. And the impact has been very disproportionate between sectors, business sizes based on geography. And there's various kind of impacts and the need that the women enterprises have come out with, or the enterprises have come out also with. And some of them I'm just going to highlight here based on the survey that we did. Access to customers, as the markets go down, and access to customers is the traditional access to customers, traditional way of accessing customers needs now an alternate channel, and digital solutions can be one of those channels to address the challenges of access to customers. There is access to suppliers, access to finance, of course, is one of the elements. There is worker absence, layoff I was mentioning about. There is family disruption that also got cited. So how are we able to address these kind of challenges in this scenario, COVID-19 impact scenario for women enterprises? Similarly, WeConnect had done a survey way back, I think in April 2020, and I think that's there in the document that we shared with you, which showed a range of kind of demands that's there from women enterprises, right from access to finance, 61% saying that, but 60% also saying access to business opportunities, whereas 37% saying access to investments. So there's a range of challenges that's there, and COVID-19 has really kind of increased that gap and increased challenges. And this whole fund that we created was to look into how these challenges can be met, addressed through digital solutions, and not necessarily just financial in nature, because when you're talking about gender, when we're talking about women enterprises, It's just not the financial solutions that is going to help them out. It has to be also the non-financial side of things, literacy, education, skills. It can be anything. And that would differ from country to country, from geographies to geographies. Bangladesh has a huge gender gap compared to North Vietnam. So we need to look into all of that. And this fund is all about looking into that and requesting the private sector and different institutional categories of private sector to look into these issues and come out with some kind of solutions that can really help women enterprises to grow, to first get resilient enough, recover, and then grow with the help of digital solutions. I'll stop there, and I would hand it over to Fakhrul, my colleague Fakhrul, for the next detailing of the Women Enterprise Recovery Fund. Thank you, everyone. Please come in.
Thank you. Thank you. So my name is Fakhrul Islam. I'm the Fund Facility Coordinator for the UN Capital Development Fund. In the next few slides, what I'm going to do, I'm going to share some of the key important areas for this call for proposal, call for application. Mainly the country we will be covering for the project implementation, the eligibility criteria, evaluation criteria, and the application process and the fund benefit. So as you can see here, we will be covering 6 countries: Nepal, Bangladesh, Myanmar, Vietnam, Indonesia, and Cambodia. So we are encouraging application from anywhere. Not necessarily has to come from the 6 countries, but the project needs to be implemented in the 6 countries. And like, for example, if any application comes from Singapore or in European countries, they have to have a partner in the ground, in the 6 countries, either of the countries, okay? So, so that is most important. The reason we promote application from everywhere, the reason is that like there are very good digital solutions or models, okay, that is under implementation or scaled, okay, some of the countries like Indonesia, some of the countries in Singapore, some of the countries in Africa. So if we can bring those business model and can in partnership, if those provider can implement those projects in the 6 countries, certainly the women enterprises segment will be benefited. That's the reason that we promote application across the globe. Yeah. And next slide. Okay, these are the key focus. One is the agri-tech solution. We are definitely because this fund is targeted to agriculture sector as well as the FMCG, which is fast-moving consumer good sector, because women enterprises and women employment are mostly into this 2 sector. We also promote digital literacy element into it. So if you have any solution on digital education, digital literacy, supply chain financing, or last mile digitization or procurement, any type of digital solution or digital financing tools, okay, if, we are looking into how you can really target in the 6 countries and on board the women enterprises into the digital platform, so they are able to better access to the market. Okay, they are better able to the access to finance, because financing is the key challenges, okay, and for the women enterprise segment. As our key expectation from the project or solution or the product the applicant will be applying, we expect that the woman entrepreneur is the key target. So we expect the woman entrepreneur will be registering your product or solution. They will be using it. They will be benefiting greater access to the market. They'll be benefiting greater access to the financing. Yeah, so that will improve their efficiency, that will improve their capacity. Yeah, so these are the key expectations from this fund. Here, we'll be talking about the eligibility. After, the 15th of February is the last date of application. So after receiving your application, we will be doing a screening of the application we have received. certainly, which you know very well that we already disclosed those eligibility criteria. So we will request you to go through this criteria and read carefully. After the eligibility criteria has been done, there will be 5 to 6 review team member, technical people, who will be reviewing, evaluating this eligible application, and they will do a scoring and based on the criteria, what is already disclosed in our request for application document. And they will make a short list of application, probably 1/3 of the, or 1/4 of the application, we do not know. I'm talking about based on my previous experience for the last 5 rounds. So then those who have been shortlisted, they will be going through a mentorship training from Visa, there will be FMO, and just recently, I would say the AWS, okay, they will be conducting some mentorship training to the shortlisted application. We will, during this process, we will also go through the due diligence of the company who has been shortlisted. And after the mentorship, so this mentorship will focus mainly on the pitching. So they have to do a pitching before the investment committee. There is an investment committee member composed of 7 to 9 investment. They are technical. They are from the 6 countries, as well as they have a global exposure. They will be evaluating based on the presentation, which is the pitching, been presented by this shortlist applicant. They will also review the applications. They will also review the feedback they received from the review team members. So these are the 3 things they will look at, and they will make the final selection. And after this, as the selection by the investment committee member, we will be preparing the business plan together. It's a co-creation UNCDF and the selected applicants, and we will present before the board for final approval. Then we'll go through an agreement process. So this whole steps will take us 2 to 3 months. Like we are finishing our application 15, so we will take another from 15 February to sometime in end of April. We will complete all these processes, and we will go into an agreement sometime in May. Yeah. As you know that we are, this is a SurveyMonkey platform we have created. You will be submitting your application through this platform. And this is where you'll see how if you go to the link, you'll see the application. Then when you click the application, you will see the screen. You have to do the registration, either your Facebook account or Twitter, Gmail account. Then you'll go to this next step. Here you need to find out the request for application for Women Enterprise Recovery, because there are other call for application will be already posted, but you need to find out the Women Enterprise Recovery Fund link. If you click on that, okay, you will go to the eligibility criteria first, then you complete the eligibility criteria. If you are eligible, then you will go to the application, full detail application form. Our request to you that in the RFA link that we have given for a PDF version of your application form, you download that, you read it, you complete that application form, okay, in your before you finally submit and through this SurveyMonkey platform. That is our request to you, so that you are so that you can be more detailed. The reason I'm saying that in the next slide, what I'm going to cover mainly on the eligibility and evaluation criteria. I will do that. So those were, I mean, here as you can see that we encourage mobile financial service provider, mobile network operator, banks, microfinance institutions, fintech companies, mostly tech-based companies, okay, agri-tech companies, insurtech companies, or any agent aggregator. This type of company are really eligible to apply, but those who are applying, them need to submit their audit report for 1 year. That is the must you have to submit. And any applicant who are applying, they have to have at least 1 year of operations. This is a very important criteria. So any startup, of course, if you are in year 2, but you need to really submit your audit report for first 1 year of operations. Okay, that is because we have received a lot of queries and we already responded, but I'm again highlighting here that okay, we need the audit report. Without the audit report for 1 year, okay, we'll not be able to make you eligible. Certainly this eligibility evaluation criteria has been already disclosed with the RFA document. You see that we will request you to carefully read this card because review team member as well as the investment committee member will be evaluating your application based on this criteria, what we have already disclosed in the RFA document. Of course, we're looking for prototype, the readiness of the prototype, how quickly you can go to the market and really do the piloting, okay? It will depend on your stages of the application, the relevance, how it is really addressing the issues of women entrepreneur, women enterprises, okay? These are the things, they are going to look into. So you have to be very descriptive when you complete the application form. So the more detail you can provide, okay, so that will be more useful for the evaluator for their review. Of course, we're looking for scalability, how and the sustainable aspects of the after pilot, okay, how we're going to sustain, okay, how we're going to scale it up, okay. So you need to address those things. The impact is going to make to the women enterprises segment of the agriculture as well as the FMCG sector. So we also need to understand the team experience, okay, the people, okay, who are working behind this company, okay, also the risk factor. So as I mentioned earlier, that beginning that we encourage applicants from application for anywhere, but partnership is the key here. So if you do not have any partnership in the ground, okay, so we'll not be able to probably you are not eligible. So we request any applicant, if you need to do any partnership, you need to give us the letter of intent for your partnership. That's the minimum thing, okay? After you become shortlisted or selected, okay, you have to, before we sign the agreement with you, you have to complete the commercial agreement with your partner. That's the must. And of course, we do the value for money. Here we talk about how many, during the pilot stage, how many woman entrepreneur you will be targeting and working with them. They will be using your digital solution or digital product or any type of digital tools, okay, you will be piloting, they'll be using. So we will be, and how much money we'll be giving it to you, okay, we will find out, okay, what will be the value for money for this project and the scale, okay, because there is a scalability evaluation criteria. We will also look into if this project has the potential to scale, then we'll also link to that, how many women entrepreneur you will be able to really reach out in the coming, after the implementation of a project. So these are the evaluation criteria we're going to use. We'll request you to read this when you complete the application submission. This is the timeline. You're already aware of it. As I mentioned, the 15th of February is last date, and from this 15th of February, we'll take another 2.5 months to complete our the review, shortlisting, pitching, selection by the investment committee, co-creation of the business plan for the selected the applicants, and we'll finally get approval from our board. Okay, then we'll go on to the agreement with you, and then we'll start piloting from May onward. So you will have a year maximum. We are saying the 9 months to a year, and you need to complete implementation by May 2022. That's I'll briefly talk about the benefit and then I will pass on to Tan. Here, as I already mentioned, that okay, those who are shortlisted, will provide mentorship by Visa, by FMO, and AWS. They will be conducting some training, mentorship training, how to present your document and present your presentation and make a pitching before the investment committee. We'll also be providing some investment support, connecting with the investment platform. Also, we will be providing some, those who are selected, okay, we will give them, during the implementation, we'll provide them technical support, okay, during their implementation. Also, those who are selected, they will receive maximum 50,000, which is grant capital. But those who are not selected, of course, okay, as you can see, okay, we will support them to connect with other investor platform. We will take them to some acceleration support. Now I will give the floor to Tan. Denny, Tan. Tan, are you there?
Yep, I'm here.
Oh, okay, yeah, on to you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, am I on screen?
We cannot,
Hi, everyone.
share your screen? Yeah, please. Do you want to share any screen?
Yeah, just a short one. So, okay. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Rajiv. Thank you, Diana. Thank you, Fakrul. We are very humbled to be here. Myself, my colleague, Pui Pan, and myself from Amazon Web Services. We are the cloud business of Amazon, and I'm Danning Tan. I'm the startup lead in ASEAN and Pakistan. So I work with around 10,000 startups across this space, and we are very, very humbled to be working with UNCDF. As I was going through, the startups that have worked with UNCDF before, I was really happy to note that 4 out of 10 of your last winners of the previous fund that you ran were actually started on AWS as well. So they actually built on AWS, and I was thinking about the tagline of UNCDF, where it's promoting digital economies and leaving no one behind. I really like that. AWS is very aligned, with this as well. We startups who come on AWS, they are all born on the cloud. They all start on the cloud, and our goal is also to not leave anyone behind. So very much, as for the startups who are applying to this program and who make it through the program and who eventually become winners, I believe there is a role in each of this stage, whether you are an applicant, even if you do not make it through the application process, we would really like to engage with you. We would still like to extend our help to you and hopefully help to mature and grow you as we go along. I'm just going to share screen.
Sorry, Danny, I'm not so sure if you can share the screen. I think you could try if there's a share screen button, but otherwise you're doing it great.
Okay, so there's a lot to go through. Give me a minute. Connection is a little bit slow. So we have numerous programs that we work with startups. Our flagship program is called AWS Activate, and there's a whole host of other programs that we run working with all the startups that engage with us. So AWS Activate is our flagship program. What is it? So this program basically entitles each startup to receive up to $100,000 in cloud credits, right? Which they can use to build their first workload, build their first product on the cloud. And as they grow, as they mature, as they get funded, they will be supported more and more. It also opens you up to a whole host of other programs and help. So this can be, as I'll go along, this can be connections with enterprises, connections with VCs, go-to-market programs. Just a fun fact, last year alone, We issued about $1.3 billion in cloud credits to over 40,000 startups. That's just for 2020. And as I mentioned, of the 10 winners from UNCDF's last fund, 4 of them built their first product on AWS Activate. And hopefully in our working with UNCDF and ESCAP, we will be able to reach out to every single one of you. Some of the largest startups in ASEAN and globally are built on AWS, and many of them actually started through very humbly through the AWS Activate program. So you are in very illustrious but also very humble company, and we have a lot of learnings and practices from working with all these startups, and we want to bring them to you, even at a very early stage. Our goal through all the programs that we run really is to help you succeed. So your success is truly our success. The whole aim of the program actually is to encourage each startup to really spend time innovating, spend a lot of time on their business model, on how it's going to work, while we can do a lot of the heavy lifting for you, right? When just to share a little bit, so when I had a startup before, every dollar that I spent was really, really precious. It came up from my pocket. So these credits, are really helpful. They kind of take it away from your mind that this is something else to spend on. So if you're supported, you can, go ahead and just go nuts, go crazy with your product and build, and build with the best services, build with the best technology, and not think about the cost, and you can really innovate and go free. So some of the things that we do, so we work with mentors, and ourselves, we are mentors ourselves. We run a lot of mentorship programs, working with startups everywhere. As we learn about you, we work backwards from the startups. As we learn about the startups that come through this program, we're going to try to develop a mentorship program that links, aligns very well with the objectives for this fund. AWS Capital Connect, this is where you're able to connect with our whole ecosystem of VCs, accelerators, incubators from all around the world. AWS Connections basically is very targeted towards SaaS, B2B businesses solutions, whereby we connect startups with enterprises who are in need of various, use cases and pain points. APN Startup Global Startup Program. This is where we help to market you globally. I'm just going very quickly. I'm going to be sharing this slides as well if you want it. AWS Marketplace also will be promoting startups globally on our global channel. Co-marketing. So we do a lot of case studies, podcasts, event conferences. I run podcasts myself. I interview startup founders. Would love to interview some of you here. So thank you. This is very quick. If you want a copy of this presentation, do reach out to Hui, who's on this chat as well, and just email her asking for a copy, and you can reach out to us directly. Looking forward to the Q&A after this. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Denning. We will now go ahead with the Q&A section of today's session. And please share your questions through the Q&A or chat box here in Zoom. Or alternatively, you can also raise your hand if you would prefer to speak, and we can unmute you to ask your question. I will also now change our camera to our meeting room camera to allow more people to answer questions. We will try and cover as many questions as possible, and we will extend the Q&A session for a few minutes over the planned time, depending on the number of questions received. So if we don't have time to cover your question, or if you need to leave, you can get in touch with us through the email provided in the next slide. We will also upload the webinar and the presentation to our website after this and send the presentation to you. So then we will have a look at the questions received so far.
Can you go to the screen?
Yeah, it's coming here. So does anyone have a raised hand, or anyone wants to ask a question? So we have a question here. Does digital include videos? If you would like to clarify your question, it will be fine. But Fakul, does that?
Is it a digital literacy or digital education type of tool you are talking about? If that is, of course, we encourage digital literacy or digital education, related solution for targeting, but the content has to be for the addressing the challenges or skill set that is required for the woman entrepreneur. Yeah.
We have also one more question from Mona Mom about she is representing a partner who owns a business in Cambodia. She is running a shop selling silk and other handicraft products. Those products have been produced by the women from different communities. And her question is, would this fund consider her business? Fakul, maybe you can answer this question.
Yeah, I mean, we are, because if I understand correctly, this woman is a small enterprise, and I don't know whether she will have any audited financial statement from her company. I'm not sure. If it has, of course, she is eligible to apply. But the thing is that we are targeting technological solutions, and that will really benefit, or that the solutions or the digital solution that will really be provided to multiple more women enterprises, not a single enterprise is benefited. How a solution benefit multiple enterprises, women enterprises, in this, especially agriculture sector as well as the FMCG sector, women enterprises. Yeah.
Thank you, Fakul. So we can take one question of the raised hands. I will ask KTA's iPhone. I'm not sure about the name, but she has, this person has raised their hand. I will ask you to unmute and you can please ask your question. I hope that's fine.
Hello.
Hi, yes, we can hear you now.
Hi. Yes, thank you so much. Sorry, I'm gonna change my phone name. Indeed, this is Sophie from AMK. So thank you so much. Actually, I saw jewelry that can be applied. So we just whether we can apply multiple application. Example like agri, fintech, like supply chain, thing like that. Any limit on number of application per institutions?
Yeah. Yes, an applicant can apply multiple applications, but each and every application has to be different, unique. And you cannot, I believe you have to, when you make the application, you cannot use the same device. So you have to use another computer to submit, or another account to do a separate application.
Thank you.
So
Thank you. Yeah.
Same computer or same identity, you'll not be able to apply multiple applications.
Okay.
So for
Yes, does that answer your question? Or do you have
Yeah. Thank you, Pakro. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So now I will also take one more raised question from Tran Thi Ho. I will ask you to unmute yourself now to please ask your question. Tran?
Hello?
Yes,
Hello?
can hear you now, yes.
Yeah. Hello, my name is Hoa. I work from NTM program, a social microfinance program founded by a French NGO in Vietnam. And I found an information on the guideline that the applicant must be a registered entity. So my question is, can we register this fund by ourselves, or we need to do it through our mother organization? Because currently we have low legal status.
Yeah, I mean, of course, you have to be registered in Vietnam. You need to be legally registered. if you're not a registered entity or organization, will not be able to qualify you as an applicant. You'll not be eligible. So you do not be falling into the eligibility criteria.
So it means that we need to apply through our mother organization, as not us, a program, right?
Yes, if your parent company, of course, is registered in Vietnam, they can apply.
Oh, okay, I see. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. So we can take one more question of the raised hands and then see which ones to take from the chat box as well. Can I please ask Talia B to unmute themselves? I will ask you to unmute now and you can ask, please. Talia, hello. Hello, Talia. If it doesn't work out with Talia, because I've asked to unmute, we can go ahead with Leanne. I will ask to unmute now, so you can ask your question. Hello.
Hi, thank you so much. Oh, can you hear me? It's Leanne.
Yes.
Hi. So I'm in Cambodia and I asked about the video question. The reason I'm asking is we know that women here are not registered and registered businesses, and this is holding them back from getting access to commercial bank funding. And they don't really understand how the banks work or why the banks need certain details. And also registering with the government is pretty hard. So we were thinking of putting together a video series about how to, the different documents, understanding it, the pros and cons, and doing that. Would that fit into this model?
So if I hear correctly, this is a you're saying that how they can do the registration of their company.
Yeah, to help them out. It's not just registration of the company, but also bookkeeping, why banks need certain things. So they're getting understanding of how to engage with banks, which are quite terrifying places to be.
Yeah, I mean, of course. So if I understand it now, okay, it is a literacy. It is a literacy tool. Okay, you'll be developing for the woman entrepreneur or woman enterprises. Yeah. Yes. Okay. Of course. Okay, this can be, but how detailed you can? What is the status of this tool? Okay. Is it already developed? Okay, or you'll be developing? You need to.
No, I'll be developing. It's developed in my head.
Oh, it's not developed in your head. Okay. No, what we are looking about, as you can, if you look at the RFA document, it is very clearly said that we are looking for pilot prototype, already developed and not in the concept stage. Okay, we're not looking at anything on the concept. So we are looking for a solution which has already been developed or in the prototype stage or in the lab, okay, which will be in 2 to 3 months' time. You will be able to really develop. Go to the market and can test it. Those type of solutions we're looking for.
Okay, even if I could get that out in a year?
No.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. So I think we will go ahead with one more raised question and then go ahead with some of the written questions. There is one raised hand from Hani Chatesat. I will ask to unmute yourself now, please.
Hi, can you hear me well?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hi, I'm Hani from Chatesat. It's a freelance platform from Myanmar. So basically, we're connecting these small businesses and startups with local freelancers here. So we have over 37,000 freelance professionals. So my question is that under this umbrella of freelancing platform, we have this education program for startups especially for this, like during the pandemic, to educate them for like digital transformation and working with remote working and working with freelancers online. So that's basically the active. There are like many activities. Out of all the many activities that we're doing, that's like one of them. And on the other hand as well, we have over like 50% of our freelance professionals are female freelancers who are like working from home, stay-home moms, and all that. So would that be like eligible or qualify as an applicant for us to apply for this one?
So, I mean, if I hear correctly, you're saying that it's a freelance platform for the individual, yes?
Yes, correct. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
So
for individuals and the small businesses.
Okay, but so in our RFA document, I mean, if you please go back to the RFA document, you'll see that we, and also we have mentioned today that we are targeting any solution, the digital solution or product that need to address the women enterprises needs. So it has to be an enterprise. Okay, we are not looking for a solution that will benefit the individual, nor it has to target the woman enterprises, woman entrepreneur. Okay, basically, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you for the answer.
Thank you so much. So now we have a few other questions that we can take from the written ones. There is one question about, does digital literacy include new tech like AI awareness or future skills program?
So digital literacy, I mean, again, okay, is it how it is going to really benefit the, the target group, which is the women enterprises, okay, and how you're going to reach out to them, how you're going to build their skill, okay, in AI, okay, and how they're going to use the skill into their businesses. So that this is how we're going to look at it when we're going to do the evaluation.
Yeah, and if you have a follow-up question, you can raise your hand or also get in touch with us over email to get more clarification if needed. There is one more practical question about the requirements from auditor. So the question is, do you have requirements from the auditor, and also do you require the company to be profitable already?
Not necessarily. It's not required the company to be profitable, but we need the audit report, minimum 1 year audit report, okay? And the company needs to be in operation for a year, minimum a year. That is.
And then a bit more practical question, are applicants allowed to co-bid and submit a joint proposal?
Sorry?
Are applicants allowed to co-bid and submit a joint proposal?
Yes, but we need to receive a letter of intent. It's for your co-bid, yeah. So you are in partnership or you will do partnership. So that's very important.
And then there is also one more practical question about costs. What are the eligibility criteria in terms of budget part of proposal when we apply as a consortium?
No, it's a lead applicant who has to make the commitment, and it's your internal with your partner how you're going to commit the fund. Okay? Because we expect minimum 30% of the total project cost. For example, if your total project cost is $100,000 or $80,000, so we expect that for $100,000 project, you have to commit minimum $30,000 from your own pocket, and maximum we can give you $50,000. Yeah. So if it is $80,000 maximum, again we can give you $50,000, but you have to commit the remaining fund from your own pocket. And your fund not necessarily has to be on cash; it could be in kind. Okay.
We will continue to take some of the written questions. If you do have a question that you would like to ask, you can also raise your hand. We have a question from Samiha from Action Aid Bangladesh, and they have a question about regarding organization eligibility. And the question is, for an organization to be considered eligible, what criteria must it fulfill? will a grassroots women enterprise, women-owned enterprise be eligible to qualify as an applicant?
Woman enterprise.
Grassroots women-owned enterprise.
If it is an association, they can be eligible. But if it's not an association, it is an individual woman enterprise. Okay, but if you're bringing in a solution for the woman enterprises, okay, that will be used by the multiple women entrepreneur or enterprises, then it is a different thing. So
yeah, I think this is a question as well from Reswan. That the question is that they are not a women-owned startup. Is it mandatory that we have women founders or owners?
No, not necessarily. No. But only key important thing is the solution, or whatever solution you bring or whatever product you're bringing, that need to be targeted towards women enterprises. So women enterprises are being benefited, okay, after using the services or the solution or the tool, okay, you will be developing, okay.
Then also a question about the technical support that will be provided. What is the technical support that will be provided in terms of, this case is a fintech company that asked the question. So what is the capacity building services that will be provided as part of the call?
It will depend on your need. Okay, if you need a technical assistance in terms of further fine-tuning your business model, we'll be bringing in expert. Okay, if you think that you'll need to fine-tune your tool, okay, digital what you have developed that require further fine-tuning, okay, we will be bringing in expert, okay, for that. If you need capacity building, okay, for how to connect with the investor, okay, we will do that, okay. So it will depend on your need, okay, what type of technical assistance you require.
One question from AMK again, if they could know how many applicants will be granted finally as maximum number.
Sorry?
How many applicants will be granted finally as a maximum number?
It depends on how many applications have been selected by investment committee member and the review team member. So it will depend on the quality of the application. It will also depend on how the solution are really addressing the need of the women enterprises, okay, benefiting them, okay, and the solution are really would be possible to scale, okay, after the implementation, okay, that will benefit more women entrepreneurs. So it will depend on the solution. It will depend on the products, okay, tools, okay, you are bringing in here. So
yeah, good. So I don't see any more hands, and I think we have a few more targeted questions that we can take afterwards. So if we couldn't cover your question now, please get in touch with us with the email provided, and we can continue the conversation. There are two more questions that just came in. So we can just cover those. Is your target audience only women entrepreneurs who are working outside their home, or does it also include women who are running the business from home?
Yeah, I mean, we mentioned that, okay, if formal and informal women entrepreneur will be targeted. So if home could be, there could be running e-commerce, okay, platform, okay, e-commerce shop, okay, or e-commerce shop, okay, those could be also targeted because they also need a lot of training in terms of the capacity building, in terms of literacy. So also they need to use multiple digital tool or multiple digital solution, payment solution, okay, financial solution, okay, accounting solution they need to use for them to be, or inventory solution for them to be efficient in their businesses. So it will depend on what type of solution you're bringing in, okay, and of course, okay, those who are entrepreneur or women entrepreneur enterprise are working from home, okay, of course they if they are in the e-commerce sector, okay, or in the e-commerce sector, okay, so they will be eligible.
So there is one more question that came in. What would you define as scale? Any specific numbers of target women MSMEs to be reached in a year or 5 years, etc.? Are there any definition of scalability?
So there is no definition, but again, okay, it's scalability. The more women entrepreneurs been reached out, okay, more than in a year or in a year two, okay, 2-year time, okay. So it is all about sustainable. If you are not, if the solutions or the product is not able to target more and a woman entrepreneur, okay, that means you will not be able to sustain your business, okay. So to sustain your business, what is the minimum number of services that need to be used or be accessed by the woman entrepreneur, okay. So they will use it, so you're able to generate your revenues, and at the same time, okay, it's benefiting yourself as well as benefiting the woman entrepreneur. Yeah, so it will depend on your sustainability, okay, your revenue model, okay, how many clientele, okay, you will need, okay, to sustain your business.
And there was one more question that came in from Heyman. We have already launched a digital financial literacy product last year, but planning to scale up and modify our product for bigger social impact. Will this be eligible for the criteria of this fund?
Yes, it will be eligible, but yeah, so you have to give more detail. What are the fine tuning need to do? Okay, so when the review team member are evaluating your application, okay, they have more information and making their judgment. Yeah. So give us more detail of those.
Yeah, so I think those are all the questions that came in. Oh, we have a few more questions coming in, so we can see if we can cover them. Zazad, if you would like to raise your hand and clarify your question, you are welcome to do so. Or you can get in touch with us over email to clarify. Yeah. Hamara has raised her hand, so I will ask you to unmute now, please.
Hi.
Hi. Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. So my question is, I am an entrepreneur for some years, and I work with water sector, water, community water, and
Omara, you are not coming in so clear. Can you move closer to the microphone, please?
Can you hear me now? Is it better now? Hello?
A little bit, not too much.
Okay, I'm talking to myself. Or it could be network.
Breaking.
Hello?
Yeah, sorry, we cannot hear you too well.
Can you connect me up? Maybe there's a problem with the network.
Oh, sorry, Umara. We can. The connection is not coming out very clearly, so we could get in touch over email and set up a phone call to follow up, or if you can change your connection.
Okay, all right.
Sorry about that. Okay, so I think those are all the questions that we have time for, but please, if we didn't have time to cover your question, don't hesitate to get in touch with us through the email provided. And we will also send the presentation and the recording to all the participants and upload on our website for your reference. So I think this has taken us now to the end of today's session. Thank you so much, all participants and speakers. Thank you for your participation, and we are very much looking forward to continue the conversation and to receiving your applications. Thank you so much, everyone.